pitch. Swing and a miss. Strikeout of Smith in the inning. Ooh, there's a strikeout of Smith in the inning.
For Trey Sweden. And a bases loaded walk.
That Webb might be ready to go. And he swings and misses. Well, he's on the center again. In the air, right field. That's well struck. And that ball is gone. And that ball's hit hard. Way out to right field. And Abreu just tied this game.
Welcome back to the Touching Bases podcast. Good to see beautiful smiling faces, and it's been a little bit of a while because I've been busy with stuff at work. A little bit different intro. Why throw a hook when we can just do our normal intro music? Let's just switch it up for 2025. Why not? Big news has dropped today. Crochet, the left-handed ace for the Red Sox, has officially signed a 6-year, $170 million extension with the Red Sox. He has shown up. He played like one game, and now he is magically going to be sticking around for the next 6 years. A huge, honestly, a little bit overweighted signing. I figured that this would have happened a lot sooner, but hey, the deal starts in 2026 and it includes an opt-out after 2030. So kind of has some options in a couple of years when he kind of gets, I believe he's going to be 30 by the time he has that opt-out, something like that. I have to look at that again. But as Jeff Passons also mentioned, like, it's by far the largest deal that's ever been offered to a pitcher with 4+ years of service. So it's huge. It's awesome for the Red Sox to actually get an ace that they can really rely on for the long run. I mean, the last extension I believe they did was Bello, and he's been injured and did not perform very well last season. Now who are they going to add on? Who are they going to extend? Honestly, the best player on the team right now is Wilyer Abreu. And I don't blame him because he's been the one that's been producing the most, even though the last 4 games have been pretty horrible, and no thanks to, well, we all know Rafi Devers. And honestly, I'm starting to believe that there's a possibility that this guy is just protesting. Don't get too mad at me, everybody who's here. I mean, just embrace the suck a little bit. Ever since they've moved him to the DH position, Rafi Devers has been terrible. If I were to go specifically looking this up, just some basic stats that everybody's been saying all over Twitter, and if you're not paying attention, then I don't know where you've been. Rafi Devers has struck out all 3 times today, and then he's also struck out almost every single at bat this entire season. He is 0 for 19 this year with 15 strikeouts. He has yet to get a hit as the DH after he went through this entire back and forth with the media saying, I play third. I don't know entirely if this is just him being the mental game or if him just being pissed off that he's supposed to be the franchise face for the next some odd amount of years. And now they brought in Bregman, and now they're extending Crochet, and now they're doing all this money spending for these big names that are kind of taking the spotlight off of him. If you ask me, that's a little bit like immature. I mean, just coming from me, it's like you're being paid to be a team player. So if you're not going to be a team player, then what are you doing here? He didn't train the way he was supposed to. This entire spring training, he barely played. He was barely on the field. So you tell me what was wrong and what is right about this picture, because now we're going into the season and he's supposed to be the best hitter on the team, and he hasn't even gotten a hit, where you're brand new guy who's going to be questionable about being on the team because there's so many outfielders is producing like nobody else. So baseball's funky like that. Maybe Abreu's just hitting a little hot streak and maybe he'll cool off a little bit later. I have no idea. But Rafi Devers, at this point, it's like, let's just say he's injured, throw him on the 60-day IL and call up Roman Anthony to take over that DH spot. What do you guys think? Comment down below if you're a Red Sox fan, because this is a little bit rough with Devers, but it's awesome news that you're going to be able to have Garrett Crochet for the next few years, and he did very well in his first start. So something super promising to look forward to. And you have a lot of guys waiting in AAA that want to come up that people are excited to see, and Devers isn't getting it done. Maybe he needs time in AAA. I don't know if he has an option. I don't think anybody's ever considered him needing an option at this point, but maybe it's a good time to do that. Just for reference, in the last 9 games, that includes, of course, last season as well, the last like 4 games or so, it was against the Rays and then also against the Twins, and he had a total of, I believe, like 10 at-bats at the very end of the season. So he had 1 hit at the very end of last season. So in the last 9 MLB games he's played in, he has 26 strikeouts. We're talking about Devers. So this is like, it was a downhill spiral at the end of the season, and now we're going into this next season not so good. Granted, he does have about 4 walks this season, so I guess he's seeing the ball, but he's not able to make contact. So it's whether or not he's being selective and protesting and saying, I'm not going to hit if I don't get to play on the field, or if he really is just hitting a mental wall at the plate. Now, switching over to the West Coast, I wanted to talk about the Dodgers a little bit, and it's a little bit interesting. One of these guys, Jacob PM, I don't follow him, but he made a post, and it's a little bit ironic, and maybe he's just a Dodgers hater. I have no idea, but there's video catching Roki Sasaki in the dugout in pretty much holding back tears after his performance in the second game as a Dodgers player. Now, he does make a really good point, and I pointed this out in the very beginning, that either his manager, or I shouldn't say manager, his agent lied, or there really was like an emotional stress concern that came with the big market, and yet he still signed with the Dodgers. I'll just read it verbatim. I mean, Sasaki's manager said that he had concerns about his emotional issues in the big market, but yet Sasaki signs with the Dodgers anyways, and then proceeds to have 2 bad starts. Now we look at this, and this is what we're dealing with. He is an emotional kid who is failing on the big front, and yet he still chose to go to the biggest market in all of the MLB. So who was wrong here? I mean, maybe his agent didn't really advise him properly. This guy was not going to get paid big bucks. There was no reason or incentive to send him to LA, because he was going to get the league minimum anyways as far as an international signing. It was just going to be that way, and it had to be a minor league contract. The agent kind of screwed him, I think, but Roki didn't have any sort of right mindset of what he really should have done for himself, because like him, and I kind of mentioned this in another video, but he's not the only one. And in fact, I have a video coming out that I was going to do, but I might as well include it here. Shintaro Fujinami, who's now with the Mariners, and he was here in 2023. He, I think, posted a 7.18 ERA in that season, which was absolutely horrible, while having a 10-year career in the MPB, pitching a 3.17 ERA. The transition is huge. That's another example of pitchers that can't do well. Sagano, who's now pitching for the Orioles, this is his first year in, didn't build as much hype. He's not doing so well this season. He's only had 1 start, but he is struggling. How many other pitchers are we going to be bringing over from the MPB with such big hype that are not going to be able to fulfill it? And I think at this point, Sasaki just might not be mature enough. He might be too emotionally immature to handle the big stage, in which he chose the biggest stage, where he could have gone to any other team that was really looking to have them on their pitching staff. And maybe there's a chance that he is now a trading piece for the Dodgers to bring in really good young talent for a club that could develop him, whether or not that is the Mariners, whether that is the Cubs, whether that is the Angels, who really need some pitching help. Who knows? I don't know, but right now watching this, it's hard to watch, and I want to root for him, but it's like, this feels like a really bad start to the season for someone who should have a little bit more control of their emotions, since they've been fighting to get to the MLB for the last couple of years, and actually was dragged down quite a bit by the MPB and the Japanese media because of his want to leave Japan. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Again, I want to hear your guys' response. Now, I'm going to be doing a whole subject on the torpedo bat thing that's coming out. In fact, I'm recording it right after this, but I'm going to get this out to you guys today and tonight, because it is pertinent to today, because there's a lot of news that's going on. But touching on the torpedo bats, not only are the Yankees doing it, but the Braves have put it in order. The Mariners have put it in order. There are multiple teams now that have put in an order to better their offense. Of course, it comes from all these teams that are desperate just to have a good batting season this year, because their team is terrible this season and last season on their offense, Mariners specifically. Maybe this will help them, maybe it won't. Obviously, some players on the Yankees are not using the torpedo bats, but speaking of the Braves, who did just put in a massive order, who are struggling pretty badly this season, they've officially lost Ronaldo Lopez to an IL. It sounds like he has an oblique strain, I believe, or maybe it was shoulder. I don't have it pulled up in front of me at this moment, but I know he is going on the 15-day IL after a really bad start to the season, when he was probably the biggest savior to this pitching staff after all the injuries last season. So he will be going down. Another guy that's going to be going down in the IL that was posted today is Gleyber Torres. I believe his is an oblique strain. Let me double check on that. Yes, left oblique strain. 10-day IL. We'll see how that works. Of course, as of today, when I was watching the videos, the Tigers are doing fine against Emerson Hancock, because Emerson Hancock, as Colby might say over at Locked On Mariners, is a bad pitcher but a good guy. So sending him probably back down to AAA after today's performance, because it was absolutely ungodly and hard to watch. Last thing I wanted to touch before we end this video is going back to the Braves, because those are a couple of the IL things. You all heard about it. Jurickson Profar is getting suspended for 80 games for using PEDs. Now, I believe he is using HCG, which is actually something that you would take after you've taken steroids to balance out your hormones so that you don't get a crazy shift in estrogen release because you have too much testosterone going through your body. But I don't know exactly what it was being used for specifically. It could have been lean muscle mass help or a TRT. It could be after you use TRT to balance out so he can get muscle growth. But either way, it's either steroids or TRT that's being used, which either one are not allowed in the MLB. So he did release this statement today. I will read it verbatim. He says, "Braves fans, today is the most difficult day of my baseball career. I'm devastated to announce," you're devastated? You know, "that I have been suspended for 80 games by the Major League Baseball and the Commissioner's Office for testing positive for a banned substance this offseason. This is especially painful for me because anyone who knows me and has seen me play knows I am deeply passionate about the game. There is nothing I love more than competing with my teammates and being a fan favorite, but you'll cheat to be the best, right? I want to apologize to the entire Braves organization, my teammates, and the fans. It is because of my deep love and respect for this game that I would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Okay. I have been tested my entire career, including 8 times last season alone, and have never tested positive. I would never willingly take a banned substance, but I take full responsibility and accept MLB's decision," because you knew. Otherwise, you'd be fighting it because you knew you're taking it. It's the bottom line. People back in the day were taking these things and were fighting it, and they knew if you would have never done it, then you would be fighting it right now, not just taking an 80-day suspension right off the bat. People are way more willing to accept a negative, like taking PEDs these days, than they did back in the day. Like, people don't care anymore. It's just the way it goes. And if you're honestly innocent, you're going to push back. Like, just stop lying, dude. To say that you weren't using, this is, to me, exactly the reason why the Padres didn't re-sign you. They knew something. I can guarantee you they knew something, because why would they give up their best outfielder? I understand Tatis and Merrill, relax. Their best outfielder who hit 280 last season after having a rather underwhelming career with the Rockies and all these other teams that he's played for. And then magically you're doing really well. You come to the Braves, you're doing well. Pop for PEDs, 80 game suspension. So he said he was tested 8 times last season alone and has never tested positive. Okay, maybe. I don't know. This is all speculatory. The last thing he mentioned is, "I am devastated," again, "that I won't be on the field with my teammates for the next 80 games. I looked forward to competing again at the highest level this season upon my return." Dude, you did it. You know you did it. That's why you're not contesting it. That's why you are taking full responsibility and accepting MLB's decision. So this was today on March 31st, 2025. Suspended for 80 games. It does completely make sense why he is now magically able to perform better this last season, where he had no reason to perform better at any other level with any other team. I'm pretty sure he was probably on this stuff or doing something to work around the system to improve himself, whether or not that was like peptides, which I don't think are actually in the CBA or anything against taking peptides, but it is performance enhancing. And maybe this was something that slowed down that reactionary or TRT or something like that he could use that would stop estrogen from coming in, because he needs to cycle off of it. And might just be in that time period where, because he's taken all that TRT, which might be allowed because his doctor prescribed, maybe he has a lower amount being produced by his body, to where now he doesn't want the estrogen levels to rise, since now he's cycling off of that TRT that's allowed. And either way, you can't take that banned substance. So whatever, he knew it's an injection base. You can't take it orally. Just keep that in mind. It has to be a syringe. It has to be through a needle. It has to be injected by someone or by yourself, and you have to get a source for it. So enough said. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Like the video if you made it this far, and subscribe, because I love you all. And we're back, baby. Baseball is back. I'm sorry for the lack of videos that I've made. What do you guys think of the background? New setup, a little bit. Remember, embrace the suck. I love you all, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.